Go.
Reading from Mental Devotion, Chapter 31, Traditional Symptoms. All the previously mentioned 33 symptoms of ecstatic love are called Vyabhichari or disturbing. All these symptoms refer to apparently disturbed conditions, but even in such disturbed conditions, there is acute ecstatic love for Krishna. These symptoms, however, can be divided into three groups: first class, second class, and third. There are many disturbing symptoms of ecstatic love, such as envy, anxiety, pride, jealousy, confusion, cowardice, forgiveness, impatience, hankering, regret, doubtfulness, and impotence. These are included in 32 conditions of ecstatic love. Srila Goswami has very nicely analysed the different kinds of disturbing symptoms, and although it's very difficult to find the exact English equivalents for many Sanskrit words used here, his analysis is now presented. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 28, Chapter 7, text
30.
Jaya
Jaya Dev
Adharmo
Mishu Yer Visago
Jaya Adharmo Mishu Jaya Visargo
Chayatradamo Mishu Yer Visago Nitra Trayam Sattva Rajas Tamamsi
Nitratrayam Sattva Rajas Tamamsi
Netratrayam Sattva Rajas Tamamsi
Sankhyaatmana
Sankhyaatmana
Shastra
Kritas
Taveksha
Sankhyaatmana Shastra Kritas Taveksha Chandramayo Deva Rishi Purana Chandramayo Deva Rishi Purana
Chayatvartanmo Vishurya Prasargo
Chayatranam Mishu Visanko
Nitratrayam Sattvarajastamamsi
Netratrayam Sattvarajastamamsi
Sankhyaatmana Shastritasvareksha
Sankhyaatmana Shastrakritastaveksha
Chandomaya Deva Rishi Purana
Chandomayo Deva Rishi Purana
Chayatvartanmo Vishurya Prasargo
Chayatranam Mishu Visanko
Nitratrayam Sattvarajastamamsi
Netratrayam Sattvarajastamamsi
Sankhyaatmana Shastrakritastaveksha
Sankhyaatmana Shastrakritastaveksha
Chandomayo Deva Rishi Purana
Chandomayo Deva Rishi Purana
Chayatradamo Vishurya Visargo
Chayatradamo Mishu Visago
Nitratrayam Sattvarajastamamsi
Netratrayam Sattvarajastamamsi
Sankhyaatmana Shastrakritastaveksha
Sankhyaatmana Shastrakritastaveksha
Chandomayo Deva Rishi Purana
Chandomayo Deva Rishi Purana Chayatva Adamo Mishuya Visago.
Chayatva Adamo Mishuya Visago.
Netratrayam Sattvarajastamamsi.
Netratrayam Sattvarajastamamsi.
Sangyatmana Shastra Kritastaviksha.
Sankyatmana Shastra Kritastaviksha.
Chandomayo Deva Rishi Purana.
Chandomayo Deva Rishi Purana. Chayatva Dharma Mishuya Visargo. Chayatva Adamo Mishuya Visargo. Netratrayam Sattvarajastamamsi. Netratrayam Sattvarajastamamsi. Sankyatmana Shastra Kritastaviksha. Sankyatmana Shastra Kritastaviksha. Chandomayo Deva Rishi Purana. Chandomayo Deva Rishi Purana. Chayatva Atmanu Mishurya Visago. Chayatva Dharma Mishurya Visago. Netratrayam Sattvarajastamamsi.
Netratrayam Sattvarajastamamsi.
Sankyatmana Shastra Kritastaviksha.
Sangyatmana Shastra Kritastaviksha.
Chandomayo Deva Rishi Purana.
Chandomayo Deva Rishi Purana.
Chayatva Adamo Mishuya Visago. Netratrayam Sattvarajastamamsi. Sankyatmana Shastra Kritastaviksha. Chandomayo Deva Rishi Purana. Chaya Shadow Tu
But Adharma
Mishu
in the ways of religion,
in the waves of religion,
like Kama, Krodha, Loba, and Moha,
like Kama, Krodha, Loba, and Moha,
they
by which
Visarga, so many varieties of creation,
so many varieties of creation, Netratrayam, three eyes, Sattva,
goodness, Raja,
passion,
Tamamshi,
and darkness, Sankhya Atmana,
the origin of all Vedic literatures,
the origin of all Vedic literatures,
Shastra,
scriptures,
Krita, Tava, Vayu, Diksha, simply by glancing, Chandamaya, full of Vedic verses, Deva,
Lord,
Rishi, all Vedic literatures,
Purana.
and Puranas,
supplementary Vedas.
Translation. O Lord, your shadow is seen in irreligion, which brings about varieties of irreligious creations. The three modes of nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance, are your three eyes. All the Vedic literatures which are full of verses are emanations from you because they're compiled with the Vedic scriptures after receiving your eyes. There's no progress, so I'm going to number 31. I'll just do this with myself. Nati Takila Loka Pala Virinchivatim Kashidenna Kamyam Kuti Karanyatara Jastamascha Satvam Yakamanidastavedam. O Lord Isha, since the impersonal Brahman effulgence is transcendental to the material modes of goodness, passion, and ignorance, the various directors of this material world certainly cannot appreciate it or even know where it is. It is not understandable even to Lord Brahma, Lord Vishnu, or the King of Heaven and Indra. Please repeat. O Lord Girisha,
O Lord Girisha,
since the impersonal Brahman effulgence is transcendental
Since the impersonal Brahman effulgence is transcendental,
to the material modes of goodness, passion, ignorance.
the material modes of goodness, passion, and ignorance,
The various directors of this material world
the various directors of this material world
certainly cannot appreciate it,
certainly cannot appreciate it
or even know where it is.
or even know where it is.
It is not understandable even to Lord Brahma, Lord Vishnu, or the King of Heaven, Mahendra.
It is not understandable even to Lord Brahma, Lord Vishnu, the King of Heaven, Mahendra.
The Brahma Jyoti is actually the effulgence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead as stated in the Brahma Samhita 540. Yasya prabhava prabhavato jagadanta koti kotish vashesha vasudati vibhuti vidnam tad brahma nishkalamanantam ashesha bhutam govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is endowed with great power. The glowing effulgence of his transcendental form is the impersonal man, which is absolute, complete, and unlimited, and which displays the varieties of countless planets with their different opulences in millions and millions of universes. Although the impersonal feature of the Absolute is an expansion of the rays of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he does not need to take care of the impersonals to enter the Brahma Jyoti. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita 9.4, Maya tatam idam sarvam jagat avyakta muktinam. In my impersonal feature, I pervade this entire universe. Thus, the avyakta mukti, the impersonal feature, is certainly an expansion of Krishna's energy. Mayavadis prefer to merge into this Brahmani effulgence worship Lord Shiva. The mantras referred to in text 29 are called Mukhani Panchupanishad Pravisha. Mayavadis take all these mantras seriously in worshipping Lord Shiva. These mantras are as follows. 1. Tat Purushaya Vidmahi Shantai. 2. Mahadevaya Dhimahi Vidyari. 3. Tanno Rudra Pratishtari. 4. Prachudayat Nityari. 5. Agore Vyastama. 6. Atha Gorebhyo Moha. 7. Agorebhyo Raksha. 8. Agora Darebhyo Nidra. 9. Sarvebhya Sarvavyadai. 10. Sarva Sarvebhyo Nirpari. 11. Namaste Stu Shuddha. 12. Rudra Rupebhyas Krishna. 13. Vamadevaya Raja. 14. Jeshtaya Swaha. 15. Shreshtaya Ratani. 16. Vikraya Kalyanai. 17. Kalaya Kama. 18. Kala Vikarnaya Sandhanaya. 19. Bala Vikarnaya Kriya. 20. Balaya Vikaya. 21. Balachaya. 22. Pramarthanaya Dhartaya. 23. Sarva Bhuta Damanaya Brahmanya. 24. Mana Shoshinaya. 25. Unmanaya Jwara. 26. Sadhu Yatam Prapatyani Siddhaya. 27. Sadhu Jataya Vai Namaha Vidaya. 28. Bhavi Ditaya. 29. Abhavi Lakshmaya. 30. Nati Bhavi Neda. 31. Vajasva Mam Kandaya. 32. Bhava Svada. 33. Udbhavaya Prabha. 34. Ishana Sarva Vidyanam Shashinam. 35. Ishwara Sarva Bhutanam Abhayada. 36. Brahmadipati, Brahmanadipati, Brahmana Brahmishtada. 37. Shivo me astu marichai. 38. Sada Shiva Jwalanaya. The impersonal Brahman is unknown even to the other directors of the material creation, including Lord Brahma, Lord Indra, and Lord Vishnu. This does not mean, however, that Lord Vishnu is not omniscient. Lord Vishnu is omniscient, but he does not need to understand what is going on in his all-creating expansion. Therefore, in Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that although everything is an expansion of him, Maya Tapantam Sarvam, he does not need to take care of everything. Nachaham Deshva Avastita. Since there are various directors like Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, and Indra. Shri Chaitanya Jai Shri Krishna
Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita
Gadadara
Gadadara
Shri
Gaur
Gaura
Bhaktivinoda
Hare
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna
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 Hare
Hare
Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare.
So, O Lord, he wishes since the impersonal Brahmanic fortunes is transcendental to the material modes of goodness, passion, it means the various directors of this material world certainly cannot appreciate it or even know what it is. It is not understandable even to Lord Brahma, Lord Vishnu, and the King of Heaven. So this verse is in a series of verses where Lord Shiva has been glorified by the demigods to help take the poison from the ocean of milk, the ocean of milk. So here in this previous verse it says that the Lord's shadow is irreligion and it brings about irreligious creations. And the three modes of material nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance are his three eyes. And all the Vedic literatures, which are full of verses, are emanations from him, because the compilers wrote the Vedic scriptures after receiving his glance. And this verse is talking about the impersonal Brahman, that the impersonal Brahman is transcendental to the three modes. And because it's transcendental, then it's difficult for those in this material world to understand it. So even Lord Brahma cannot understand, Lord Indra cannot understand it. But this Brahman effulgence is actually the effulgence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead as it's described in Brahma Samhita. The glowing effulgence of his transcendent form is the impersonal Brahman, which is absolute, complete, and unlimited, and displays the varieties of countless planets with their different opulences in millions and millions of universes. So, although the impersonal feature of the Absolute is an expansion of the rays of the Supreme Personality, the Brahmajyoti. So Krishna is already saying that in my impersonal feature I pervade this entire universe. So everything is resting in the impersonal Brahman. That's how even the sun is reflecting the rays of the Brahmajyoti. So, but Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that this he is the basis of the impersonal Brahman. It's not independent of him, and it's actually a partial understanding of the absolute truth. So the absolute truth is understood in three phases: Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. So the Brahman feature is actually the lowest understanding of the Lord. The Brahman effulgence is that the Lord is all-pervading, he's everywhere, and everything is resting in him. And this is generally, most religions understand God in this feature, that he's everywhere. But then the Paramatma feature is more advanced, and that feature is that the Lord is in everyone's heart. As a supersoul, as the Paramatma, he's the witness, he's the sanctioning cause of everything. And also he's within every atom. So every atom is also pervaded by the Lord. Every atom and every heart is Paramatma's in everyone's heart and in every atom. So this is the next understanding of the absolute truth. But the final and the most complete understanding is Bhagavan realization, where the Lord is has a form of eternity, knowledge, and bliss, Satchidananda Vigraha. So his form is full of eternity, knowledge, and bliss, and his form is very beautiful. It's eternal, ever existing, and it is not like a material form that decays or gets old. It's ever youthful. Krishna is Navayovanam, he's eternally youthful. So this form of Bhagavan actually means one who possesses all six opulences in full. So all 6 opulences are all fame, all wealth, all beauty, all wealth, all strength, and all renunciation. So, all knowledge. So all these opulences are all present within Krishna. So that's why he's known as Bhagavan. So all the so Krishna in the form of Bhagavan is a complete realization of Krishna, of the Lord, of the absolute truth. So just like Prabhupada gives the example of the sun, so there's the sunshine, then there's also the sun planet, and then there's the sun god. So the Brahman realization is like the sunshine. So it's the rays of the sun. So the Brahman effulgence is like the rays of Krishna. And the sun planet is like the Paramatma realization. So, but then when we actually enter the sun planet, we see the sun god. And that's the complete realization of the sun, is that he's actually a personality who's pervading the sun. Similarly, we can understand that Krishna and his 3 different features as Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. So Bhagavan is the complete realization of the absolute. And here it says that the Vyakta Murti, the impersonal feature, is certainly an expansion of Krishna's energy. Mayavadis who prefer to merge into this Brahman effulgence worship Lord Shiva. So we see that the Mayavadis, they worship Sankaracharya, they accept Sankaracharya, who's an expansion of Lord Shiva. They accept his doctrine of Mayavad philosophy, where they don't accept that, they accept that the highest thing is the impersonal Brahman, and that, I don't want to go into all the details of Mayavad philosophy, but they don't have complete realization of God, and they're actual offenders, because if somebody is has full opulences like Krishna has, he has all beauty, all strength, all fame, all fortune, and to call somebody who has all that, to call him, he has no eyes, he has no mouth, he has no legs, he has no arms, it's actually an insult to somebody who has a form. So if somebody would call us blind or deaf, that would be an insult to us, because we can see and we can hear. So Krishna, he has all beauty and all opulences, and he has such a beautiful form. And to call him that he has no arms, he has no legs, he has no eyes, he has no ears or mouth, this is actually an insult to the Lord. It's an offense. So the Mayavadis are the great offenders of the Lord, because they don't accept that he has such a beautiful form. So, and Lord Chaitanya forbid his devotees from hearing such Mayavad philosophy, because he said that this would be, if one hears Mayavad philosophy, then he will be doomed. Sarvanash. Maya Vasya Shunya Sarvanash. Hoya Sarvanash. Hoya Sarvanash. So whoever hears this Mayavad philosophy is doomed. So, and Lord Chaitanya himself, he defeated all the Mayavadis headed by Prakashananda Saraswati. If you read the Chaitanya Charitamrita, because the Mayavadis, they all think that everyone is Narayan, so they address each other as Narayan, this is their mentality. So when they seen Lord Chaitanya came to the Prakashananda Saraswati and the Mayavad sannyasis. And when he came, he was glowing with his effulgence. So immediately they were attracted, because they're attracted to the Brahman effulgence, So they immediately became attracted to Lord Chaitanya. And then they called him Narayan. He is Narayan anyway, but because that's how they address everyone, they said, oh, Narayan. And because Lord Chaitanya was sitting in a place where their shoes were kept, in a dirty place where they washed their feet, then they actually, Prakashananda Saraswati put out his hand to Lord Chaitanya to take him away from that place and offer him a nice seat. So this was Agyata Sukriti. He had performed unknowing devotional service, by doing these activities. And then Lord Chaitanya defeated all the Mayavadis by his philosophy of Achinta Bheda Bheda Tattva. So all these Mayavadis were converted to Vaishnavism, right? They were converted to Vaishnavism.
So I don't know what happened after that, why they've still continued Mayavad philosophy to this day, but Lord Chaitanya defeated all the Mayavadis. And although Lord Shiva, he's the greatest Vaishnava, but he was ordered by the Lord to come to speak Mayavad philosophy for a reason. So because at that time, Buddha had come to stop animal slaughter, to propagate ahimsa, then he had to take people away from the Vedas, because in the Vedas it says that we can actually kill animals according to different rituals and sacrifices. But because in that time people were using this as whimsically and just killing animals all the time without following any rules and regulations, then Lord Buddha had to come to stop this, and he had to stop them from accepting the Vedas. So he took them away from the Vedas. So that's why they were rejected from India. So they had to go out of India. But because they followed Buddha, who's an incarnation of the Lord, then they were tricked into worshipping the Lord. So it's like atheistic, because they don't accept God, in their philosophy. So because Buddhism had taken over in India at that time, then the Lord sent Sankaracharya, Lord Shiva, to bring them back to the Vedas, but in an impersonal way, because it would be too difficult for the Buddhists to convert from their atheistic, in their impersonalist views, to jump right up to accepting God as a form, and accepting the Vedas. So he had to slowly bring them to the Vedas. So he brought them through in an impersonal way. So Sankaracharya preached this Mayavad philosophy to bring people back to the Vedas, but in an impersonal way. And then Ramanujacharya, Madhvacharya also came after that to bring people more closer to the truth. So their doctrine was that God, we're all eternal parts and parcels of God, and we are servants of God, and God is the complete whole, and we are servants of him. And then Lord Chaitanya came after Madhvacharya to establish Achinta Bheda Bheda Tattva philosophy, which is simultaneously one and different from. So this philosophy is the complete philosophy, because the living entity is qualitatively the same as the Lord, but quantitatively different. So he's same and different from the Lord. Just like sparks of a fire, they are the quality of fire, but they're small in quantity. And the same like drops of water from an ocean. The drops are small in quantity, has the same quality or the same composition as the ocean, but it's small in quantity. So in the same way, the soul, the jiva, is actually small, it's minute in quantity, but it's the qualities, it can have up to 78% of the Lord's qualities. So in this way, the Lord established the Vedic scriptures according to Achinta Bheda Bheda Tattva. And this is actually the complete understanding of the Vedas. So in this way, Lord Chaitanya defeated the Buddhists, he defeated the Mayavadis, he defeated the Tattvavadis. So many, wherever Lord Chaitanya went, he defeated all these different philosophers, all these different groups of people that were preaching their doctrine. So we're very fortunate. We have Prabhupada came and gave us the proper understanding of Srimad Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita according to Krishna's instructions. So because Prabhupada followed exactly in line with Krishna, Arjuna, Vyasadeva, he presented everything in the proper way, proper mood, how we should accept everything. Because there's so many books out there, and there, like Prabhupada says, there's thousands of translations of the Bhagavad Gita, but they're not bona fide because they're misinterpreted by impersonalists, by those who've got some other motive for their own end. And Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita is, as it was spoken by Krishna to Arjuna, and to be understood as Arjuna understood it. Because once Krishna speaks the 4 seed verses of the Bhagavad Gita in the 10th chapter, then as soon as those 4 verses are spoken, then Krishna says, Param Dham, Param Pavitram, Paramam Bhavan, right? So he says, you are the supreme soul, the purest, Param Dham, Pavitram, Paramam Bhavan, the supreme abode, the purifier. So, and he says that not only myself, but all the great sages, Vyasadeva, Asita, Devala, they all accept you as the supreme personality of Godhead. So in this way, this is the way we should understand the Bhagavad Gita, how Arjuna understood it. And this is how Prabhupada has presented it. He's presented it in the same mood as Arjuna. He accepts whatever Krishna says as the absolute truth. So, and in the Bhagavatam also, there's so many places where it's described how the absolute truth is understood as, in the very, very first canto, it's described that the absolute truth is known in 3 phases: Brahman, Paramatma, Bhagavan. So this Bhagavan feature is described in the Bhagavatam. We see throughout the Bhagavatam, there's so many pastimes, and all of them, the Lord assumes has eternal forms. He assumes Varahadev, he's assuming Kurmadev here. There's so many different avatars of Krishna. They all have form, they're not impersonal. And then in the 10th canto, Krishna shows his own form as the Shyamasundar, his eternal form of eternal knowledge and bliss. So we can understand throughout the whole Bhagavatam that the Lord is not impersonal. He has many forms, has many incarnations, and of all of them, Krishna is the supreme. Krishna is Tu Bhagavan Swayam. So all these incarnations are plenary portions of the plenary portions of Krishna, who is the Supreme Personality of God, the fountainhead of all these different incarnations. And he's also the basis of the impersonal Brahman. The impersonal Brahman is not very attractive because there is no relationship with the Lord. And the Lord has not reciprocating or have, there's no any relationship. This is an impersonal concept. But the real thing is the jiva actually wants a relationship with the Lord, because this is actually what he's missing. So this is never going to satisfy the jiva to be in the impersonal Brahman. And that's why after a while being there, one comes back down into this material world again. One cannot stay there forever because the soul is by nature pleasure-seeking and active. So to stay, it's like staying in one room with a light on. I mean, it's okay, but it's not actually it's quite boring actually. It's not actually very exciting. So the jiva actually wants some relationship, some activity, and in that relationship with Krishna. So then it's not going to find that in this impersonal feature of the Lord. So because it's not an internal space for the jiva, because it's not complete, it's not fulfilling, it's not nourishing. The soul is looking for a loving relationship. It's not going to find that in the Brahman effulgence. So that's why they're all missing out, all this impersonalness and Mayavadis. Even the demons get to go to the impersonal Brahman feature. It's not such an elevated position, that we want to aspire for. Even the demons get that status. So, but then again, so the Mayavadis are like demons, they're offenders, so they go to the Brahman effulgence. It's not a very exalted status, because those who are performing bhakti, to them this is insignificant, this impersonal feature. To aspire for that is it's not actually, it's hellish. They don't want this, because then there's no relationship with Krishna, there's no service. So there's no service, there's no relationship, and there's no reciprocation. So what kind of status is that? For a devotee, that is actually hellish, because a devotee wants to serve Krishna personally, and he wants to have that loving reciprocation from the Lord. He wants to have that loving relationship. So all these different personalities are trying to achieve the Brahman effulgence. They're actually missing out. Is there any questions or comments?
So just as the Yamadukes or Vishnudukes or whatever come for someone when they die, we leave our body, and as we come out of this material covering, we become a bit more aware of our nature and things like that. So is the case for when spirit soul is left their encasement of their body and they're taken to the join of Brahman effulgence, are they aware that they're in a place that's not a good place for them to be? Are they aware of their mistake?
They could be after a while. They realise they can't stay there forever. They either have to go up or go down, because it's not natural for them to stay in that place. So they either start feeling bored or they start desiring some activity, then they come back down to the material world again. And Prabhupada says they turn to philanthropic work. They start doing altruism, opening hospitals and doing good work for people. Or like in the case of Gopa Kumar, when he's going through the different layers of the universe, when he goes through the Brahman, what happens? He becomes afraid, and he doesn't want to stay there, and he goes higher. He doesn't want to stay in that place because there's no relationship with the Lord of his heart, So he's not happy there. So it's on the individual basis. But most of them come down back to this material world again. So it's not very great. Do you know anything more?
When they're in the Brahman, then it describes, Kumar says that when he's going through the layers of the universe, then he's having far friends with when he was in the Brahman. And the super soul would flash up in front of his face, and you just see white light. So for the devotee, the Brahman is hellish because it's difficult to remember Krishna at that time.
Yeah. So Gopa Kumar became afraid when he was in the Brahman because he couldn't, there's no reciprocal relationship with Krishna. So he didn't want that. So he went further up to the Vaikuntha planets. So, but generally those who go to the Brahman, they've wanted to go there. The personalists or Mayavadis, that's their goal. So they'll come back down again. So they come back down as trees. What is it? I heard the impersonalists fall down as.
Krishna says to Balaram, these trees are vegetables.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so they've come down as trees or rocks or something like that. Yeah. So they become degraded again. So although they want liberation, they don't really want to serve Krishna. They want to become free from suffering, but that's their aim. They don't want to actually serve Krishna. So it's that's
interesting that in the Brahman they're experiencing more pleasure than the heavenly planets, but they're still no anger.
Yeah.
Interesting that it shows you how elevated spiritual happiness must be when it's superior to the Brahman, and the Brahman is superior to any type of Sanskrit application that you can get in the general world. Why is it that it's superior to any type of heavenly pleasure?
Because it's spiritual, isn't it? Because it's Krishna's effulgence. So it's Krishna's bodily race. So it's coming from Krishna.
And also it's a channel, everything is telling the channel.
Yeah, it's got eternity, but it hasn't got ananda. It hasn't got bliss. It's got this Brahman is eternal, right? But it's not got a bliss portion. Yeah, it's got the sat and the chit, but it hasn't got ananda. Yeah, so there's no bliss there, or the bliss that people experience is very small compared to the bliss of serving Krishna.
It says in the purport that the Lord is not aware of what's going on in the Brahman because he doesn't need to be. Is that because there's nothing to be aware of in the Brahman? Because they're all just doing nothing?
And there's no reciprocation, you see. There's no reciprocation in the Brahman, so the Lord isn't reciprocating with anybody. They're just there. So he doesn't have to, think about it even, but they're just there. But this is bewildering. Just like in the Upanishad also, at the end, that verse says that, please remove this effulgence. What was it? Please
remove your effulgence so that can be only beautiful.
Yeah, so even in one of the last verses in the Upanishad, it's saying that one of the prayers is, please remove this effulgence, dazzling effulgence, so that I can see your form of bliss. You wanted to say something?
Yes, Mataji. So, in Brahman effulgence, there are lots of innumerable souls.
Yes.
But still we heard that there is no one to reciprocate. So then how do they stay there?
That's what I mean. They don't stay there for good. They don't stay there forever because it's nothing. There's no relationship, so they come back down to this material world. That's what Prabhupada says. It's like they stay there for some time, but then they get bored because there's nothing to do. There's no relationship. There's no activity, and so they come back down to this material world. So some souls are going back up there. Some souls are going up there. Some souls are falling back down. It's continuing like this.
Well, when we see this picture of Krishna in the spiritual world and the rays of light are coming out, is that both the jivas leaving and the jivas coming back?
Just a breeze, not saying anything. Like all the material universes are in a corner of the spiritual world. It's just in a dark corner. It's not like it's something different. The whole creation, this is 1/4 of the creation. So 3/4 is all spiritual. And then there's a small part, which is considered the material world, all the universes and everything. But we're still part of the spiritual world. It's within the whole creation. It's within the whole spiritual atmosphere,
In the CC, it says there it's like a part of mustard seeds. And it's floating in the Viraj River. And it's so inconsequential, Krishna's not even aware of it. And if one little mustard seed falls out, Krishna won't even notice it. And then Lord Chaitanya liberates that entire universe.
It's inconceivable because we're so we've got tiny brains and we can't really understand the vastness of it, the cosmic scale of it all. It's just beyond us. We're still struggling to figure out what's on this planet. We still don't even know how this planet is working. So it's only a tiny little planet within a universe amongst millions and billions of other universes, which are all small part of the whole creation, 1/4 of the whole creation, ekabhuti, right? And then there's three-quarters of it is spiritual.
Srila Prabhupada said, although it's 1/4, he also said that only 1 in 10 fall of the jivas, which is only 1/10 of all the souls that are emanating from Krishna. Only 1/10 of them fall into the material world, or we're the unfortunate 10%.
Yeah, so we're the unlucky 10% that have fallen into this material world. But it's also a matter of consciousness, like a pure devotee like Srila Prabhupada. Although he's in the material world, he's not of this material world. He's like a lotus that is within the water, but it's not touching the water. So, because Prabhupada's consciousness was always Krishna conscious, he's seen Krishna everywhere. So everything was like a spiritual world to Prabhupada, because wherever he went, he was absorbed in Vrindavan, absorbed in Krishna. So if we can change our consciousness into Krishna consciousness, then this material world, although it is full of dualities and sufferings, it will not affect us because we'll be absorbed in the spiritual world, we'll be absorbed in Krishna.
There was one time Prabhupada was walking with the devotees in a park, and the devotee said, "Is it as beautiful as this in the kingdom of God?" And Prabhupada turned around and said, "This is the kingdom of God."
Yeah. So Prabhupada didn't see the difference, because whatever he's seen is like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also. Wherever he went, he was seeing Vrindavan, he was running up Chataka Parvat, thinking that was Govardhan Hill, and whenever he's seen any lake or river, he thought it was the Yamuna. And wherever he looked, wherever there was trees, he thought that was the Vrindavan forest. So his consciousness was always absorbed in Vrindavan. So if our heart is becoming Vrindavan, then we'll be living in Vrindavan wherever we go. Our consciousness will be absorbed in Vrindavan. So then we'll be living in the spiritual world, not in the material world. So it's a matter of consciousness. And last more questions or comments. Okay, thank you for your input into this difficult verse and purport. Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
Hari Bol.